Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat. I have my tea with me tonight because I'm really thirsty and I feel like I need a cup of tea. It's been a busy day with all the royal activity going on. My goodness. Ah, did you see Harry and his speech? My goodness, and Meghan was there and she got all these applause and cheers. We'll talk about that in a moment. And of course, William and Catherine in Blackpool. Oh, and then yesterday it was Charles's 50th party for the 50th anniversary party for the investiture. My goodness, I need my tea. There we go. And I think I forgot to do a fan flap. So, without further ado, let's have a little fan flap. It's always nice to start with a fan flap. So I'm going to open the chat window so I can see what you're all saying. I do like my little catch-ups. If I don't get a few catch-ups in a week, I really get withdrawal symptoms. I do, really. It's really nice to chat to everyone in the chat room. So hello to everyone who has made it. I do hope YouTube is sending out notifications to you all. So let's start with yesterday. I think that's a good place to start. So cast your mind back one whole day to Prince Charles's 50th anniversary of his investiture as the Prince of Wales. Now, I did see quite a few comments about why did they wait until quite a while after technically he was Prince of Wales before they did the investiture. Well, I thought about it, and the only reason I can technically think of is because it would mean more as an adult rather than a child to actually do that, and also to actually confer the title of Prince of Wales as well. I think he was around age 9. Was he 9? So the reason why they didn't do that early is because the Prince of Wales title is not an automatic title. It has to be granted. It usually is granted to the heir to the throne. However, this has not always been the case. There have been heirs to the throne, male heirs to the throne, who have never been the Prince of Wales. So it's not automatic. It has to be granted. And I think the Queen didn't technically grant it in 1952 when she came to the throne because Charles was young. And I think she wanted to wait until he was old enough to understand what it meant and the significance of that title. And then, of course, the investiture. I think Charles was he 19? I think he was around about 19. So again, as an adult, it would mean more to him once he'd learnt more about Wales. And of course, before the investiture, 50 years ago, he did have an intense kind of learning curve about Wales. He tried to learn the language. He learned all about Welsh culture and Welsh history. So he had a good grounding as an adult in what it meant to be the Prince of Wales. So, like I say, it's not an automatic title to the heir to the throne. It can only be given at the moment, at least in law, to a male. Although I would like to see that changed. I would love to see, for example, let's just say Princess Charlotte had have been born first. I would have loved the rules to have been changed so that she could have been the Princess of Wales in her own right. That would have been really good. So I'm hoping for a positive change in the future. Maybe we will see that. I do not know. But anyway, back to the party. So Meghan and Catherine, of course, were there. And lots of press and YouTube channels have made much ado about nothing about the first time they've been together, seen together since Christmas. My goodness, they do pull a lot of palaver, don't they? I think I'm going to sip some tea while we talk about this one. Take a big swig. Okay, so, yes, it is the first time in public they've been seen since Christmas. People were saying that they didn't chat much and that they didn't interact much. Well, I did see little snippets and clips where they were talking, and I think Meghan and Catherine were having a little bit of a giggle. So there's nothing there. There is no feud. I'm going to give feud rumours a black fan flap. There is no feud. I think what we did see, and people were also kind of commenting on, why did Harry and Meghan hang back when the Queen and Charles and William and Catherine went to see the artefacts and the coronet, the Prince of Wales's coronet, on that big long table? If you remember, we saw the footage where they walked over and Harry and Meghan hung back. Well, I watched the footage and it just looked to me like Harry and Meghan were talking to another guest. I couldn't quite make out who the guest was, but it looked like it could have been somebody important. So it looked like they hung back to talk and chat to this guest, whilst obviously the rest of the family moved over. So there's no shade here. There is no shade. There's no tea to spill. It is just, I think, they were just working the room. And again, why we didn't see William and Catherine and Harry and Meghan kind of huddled together in a group, having a whale of a time, I think was because it's not that sort of party. Um, it was kind of a celebration of the Prince of Wales's investiture, but it was kind of like that kind of party where you network and you have to work the room. So I think all the royals kind of split up into their different areas and they worked the room. So I think that's why we didn't see, you know, party poppers and streamers and dancing. They were working the room, and I think that's why we didn't see royals huddled together. That's not done in that kind of, you know, day occasion. It's a chance to meet and greet all the different guests, and of course they all had their individual role to play within that. So I think that's what we saw. I'm sorry to disappoint, there was no tiaras. It was a day event, so it was day wear. It was just general day wear. So we didn't get to see any tiaras. I am, of course, wearing, if you're wondering, Meghan's tiara, the Queen Mary's diamond bandeau tiara, my replica. It's so shiny. This is so sparkly. It doesn't do it justice, but it is really sparkly. So I'm wearing that one today. What else happened? Oh, I did notice, because a lot of media outlets and things were saying that the Queen, like the Queen was hosting the party, but it wasn't the Queen that led them out. If you look at the photos and the footage, Prince Charles led them out. The Queen was actually being a little bit subordinate to Charles on that occasion. I think maybe it's because it's his party. I don't know. But she did take a little bit of a step back, and I'm wondering whether that was significant. Was it a sign that maybe she is going to take even more of a step back? I don't know. But I've never really, I don't think, seen that before. Correct me if I'm wrong, point me out to something, but the Queen did kind of make way for Charles a little bit. It was interesting. Obviously, we have nothing official said about that, but I just thought it was interesting that the Queen was actually walking a few paces behind Charles as Charles entered the room. Then, of course, we had Camilla behind Charles. And then I really liked the arrangement, because we had the two brothers, William and Harry, and then the two wives bookending. I thought it was a really nice formation. I think there was perhaps a little bit of symbolism in that. You know, that is the core, that is the future of the monarchy. So I think we did see a little bit of symbolism there that I think was generally overlooked in a lot of these media outlets who don't really have the all-seeing royal eye, do they? They do not have the all-seeing royal eye, because a lot of them missed it. So there we go. I just thought that was interesting, and I think it was a little bit of symbolism that we saw. Oh, Meghan as well. Meghan was overheard saying, it was caught on film, she was overheard talking to a guest, and she said, in response to a conversation they were having about baby Sussex, we're nearly there. Again, I don't think it's terribly significant, because nearly there could... I mean, how far is nearly there? 6 weeks? 8 weeks? I mean, nearly there could mean anything. Nearly there might just mean that she's gone through the bulk of the pregnancy, which we know anyway. So we're still none the wiser as to when the actual due date is. She wasn't discussing due dates, but she did say we're nearly there, which I think kind of shows, yeah, it's been a long pregnancy, probably, you know, quite strenuous with all the work she's doing and everything. So I think she's ready to give birth, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. Don't be fooled by we're nearly there. I still think April, and I'm still plumbing for mid-April, but you know, hey, baby comes when baby comes. Okay, before I move on, I'm going to go back up and read a few comments before we move on to the next segment. Just skipping a few. Okay, hello to everyone. Um, Carrie says, "Hi Elliot, ignorant American here. I'm sure you're not. Does a princess outrank a duchess?" Well, it kind of depends on who and what you are, because sometimes you are born a princess, like Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, and of course, Princess Eugenie's husband Jack Brooksbank was not given a title. If he hadn't been given a dukedom, of course, the title what Eugenie would have gone by would have been the Duchess of whatever, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of whatever, Princess Eugenie. Um, so I would technically say if you are born a princess, as opposed to a duchess that has been brought into the family, so to speak, that would technically rank higher. And the Queen did actually change some of the rules so that blood princesses, for example, in the order of precedence, do outrank those that marry in. However, if you are a married in duchess like Meghan and Catherine, and you are with your husband, who is a prince and a duke, you are also in the order of precedence up there with them on their status for that occasion. But if you were to meet, for example, Princess Anne, and you are Catherine and Meghan, Princess Anne would have precedence over them. Does that make sense? It is complicated. That's a whole video in itself, I think, but I tried to answer it quite briefly. Oh yes, I will definitely check the PO box. Thank you. I will definitely check. Melody says, "I'm so glad that you take the time to research your topics and think things out rather than just go on and make noise. Which is why sometimes I hang back a little bit and I let things play out before I do a video or do a pop-up chat, because sometimes some of these channels and some of these articles get written, I think, a little bit too soon before they've actually seen and had a chance to look and assess what's gone on." Annette says, "I think Meghan is tired. I read where she's been having Braxton Hicks contractions." I don't know if that's true or not. That baby's about to pop. Again, I'm still thinking April. But yes, I'd imagine it is quite tired lugging around that bump. H. London says, "Love your explanation about the Cambridges and the Sussexes. Very helpful. You are more than welcome." Mary Brunn says, "Maybe they weren't huddled together because they were talking to guests." Exactly. They were working the room. Thank you about the tiara. It is very sparkly indeed. Where were the rest of the royals? Again, I only got to see what you got to see. You know, there were some videos, there were some photographs coming out. It was mostly press association photographs that were there. And I don't think all of the family were there. Again, I don't think it's a slight on Charles, or there's no feud stuff going on. Probably diary clashes, I would imagine. But again, there were some of the family that I didn't see, but maybe that's just because the cameras weren't tuned in on them, maybe photographs weren't taken of them. So again, I don't think we're truly going to know who and who wasn't there, because like I say, not everything was covered. We only get to see a snapshot. We're going to be talking about Meghan and her cheers in a moment. Marcelia says, "Did you see Judy James's comments on Meghan?" All right, you know I'm a big skeptic about, tarot and body language. I mean, yes, some body language, is quite blatant and obvious, but sometimes they look into things just for the sake of looking into things, and they try and pull something out just for the sake of pulling something out. There was nothing about Meghan being put in a corner. Did she look like she was shoved in a corner? She was working the room. She was not put in a corner. Harry and Meghan hang back while the rest of the royals went to that table because they were talking to a guest. And I don't think Meghan wanted to leave Harry. I think it was Harry who was talking to the guest, actually. And I think Meghan wanted to stay with Harry until Harry moved across the room. Harry hadn't finished the conversation. And if you look at the clip very closely, you actually see William looking behind, expecting Harry and Meghan to be there. And then he sees that Harry is talking to a guest, and then he carries on. So there is nothing about Meghan being put in a corner just because a body language expert says. You do not have to believe it. Just look for yourselves. I mean, like I said, I looked at the footage and it's quite clear to me what the situation was. Okay, I think I've just literally skipped a load of questions. Hang on. Rod says, how much bonding time before Meghan has to go back to work? I reckon September, October. Yes, I love seeing Meghan and Princess Anne chatting it up and laughing too. Lots of people loving the fashion. I think both Duchesses looked lovely. And the Queen too. The Queen looked lovely too. We cannot forget Her Majesty the Queen. James Medford says, the Queen sounds as sharp as ever. Prince Charles has done incredible work over these 50 years and it should be celebrated. I agree indeed. Mary Brunn says, maybe Charles is like a substitute father figure. Oh, well, I mean, I definitely think, Charles probably will be that kind of figure. I mean, obviously, he's Harry's father. So yes, I'd imagine Meghan would grow to think of him perhaps in that kind of a sense. And obviously, in the absence of her own father, we're not going to talk about that. Perhaps he's quite a welcome figure in her life. Of course, I don't think anyone is going to replace your father, even with all the troubles going on. But hey, he's there. He's a figure. And I think Meghan and Harry, as we see in the speech today, which we'll talk about later, share the same kind of views on the environment. And I think we'll get to that later. Anyway, I've got a few things to say about that later. Charlotte P says, well, when William becomes king, Prince George would become Prince of Wales and Princess Charlotte the Princess Royal. Assuming these titles were available to be given, would Louis have a specific title? Okay, let's start with Louis, the easiest. I don't think Louis would until he got married, in which case he may be given a dukedom. So that's Louis sorted. In terms of George, again, the Prince of Wales title is not automatic. It would have to be granted. So, yes, I'd imagine he would in time, but not necessarily automatic. However, he would automatically be he would inherit the Duchy of Cornwall and be the Duke of Cornwall as well. But yes, I'd imagine he would be Prince of Wales. Princess Charlotte, I would imagine, would be the Princess Royal eventually once... Well, unfortunately, Anne would have to pass first. Yeah, it works that way. So the title would have to be vacant for Charlotte to have it. So Princess Anne would have to pass away, basically, before Charlotte got the title. So in time, she would likely have it. Okay. I agree. It would help if before posting a little more research were to be done instead of trying to be the first post on things. I would agree indeed. Thank you for all the comments. When do I go to Blitz Hill? I've been. The premiere of my Blitz Hill vlog is going up tonight. Find it. Set the reminder. It's about, I don't know, 4 hours away. How many children do I think Harry and Meghan will have? Oh, I don't know. 2. 2, I think, probably. Likely. Marcelia says, I only wanted your take on the matter because I could not understand how Judy James had arrived at the analysis. Needed to see the whole clip and not the little section she chooses to highlight. Exactly. If you look at the whole clip, like I say, you see William actually looking back, expecting Harry and Meghan to be there. So they weren't being sidelined. They were just, Harry and Meghan were just hanging back, talking to that guest. I don't know who the guest was. I couldn't make it out. No, it's not true. Prince Harry and Meghan will get divorced in 2 years. Where's my fan? Okay, let's move on. I think we need to move on from the party because there's nothing else to be gleaned here. Okay, Meghan and Harry. So, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, was giving a speech at WE Day. And what a speech it was. What an impassioned, really good speech. And I have to say, I think his speech skills have come on tremendously since marrying Meghan. Now, he was always good at speeches. I will say he was always good at speeches. But He has, often had notes. Nothing wrong with notes at all. I would like to say that. There is nothing wrong with having notes when you're having a speech. Many, 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 many royals do it. However, since Meghan came on the scene, there's been much made of making speeches without notes. And I think Meghan does have, a little bit of a skill set with that, with her previous career. It seems to me like she may have taught Harry a few tricks of the trade, because today he made quite a long speech from memory, incredibly well. It looked like he'd practiced, and the content of the speech, there were some key phrases and some words and a quote from Martin Luther King that had Meghan's name written all over it. I mean, certainly it was Harry delivering the speech. Meghan had a hand in that speech. She definitely had a hand in that speech. You can imagine, seeing as she likes to write her own speeches, that she helped Harry, I think, to make that speech. And also, I liked the tie-in between Prince Charles's ethical values with the environment and also what Harry is taking up. I definitely saw a key link between Harry taking on that baton that Prince Charles has been pushing for 50 years as Prince of Wales. And I think Harry is stepping up to take that. And like I say, Meghan, I definitely could see Meghan all over that speech. Definitely. Let's see what people are saying about that. Maria says, I think so too. Nicole says, yes, she did have a hand in it. And it was amazing when she was brought out. Did you hear the cheers? Oh, my goodness. Go Getter says, I truly felt your excitement in sending out that video. Yes, it was exciting. It was. Monroe says, you can see both his dad and his mum. You can indeed. Fortune says, all in all, I loved Harry's speech. So motivational and inspirational. Coffee or Tea says, I did also. Meghan was all over that speech. She literally may as well have been standing there with him. She definitely had her fingerprints all over it. Margaret says, sarcasm. Wow, a wife actually helping a husband. Who knew? Yeah, I mean, it was sweet. I think it was really sweet. And I think she helped him to memorise it as well. Michael says, she's amazing at speeches and Harry has been getting really good. I think she's helped him. Like I say, I mean, you can't have been an actress all those years and not have picked up tips and, of how to do speaking and how to memorise things and how to maybe compartmentalise learning speeches. And I think she helped, definitely. Mary says, it's good to hear the cheers for Meghan. There has been so much negativity regarding her that it's nice. Exactly. I mean, I've always said, the proof is in the pudding. Have you heard anybody saying anything bad? Whenever they go out on engagements, they get cheers. She got cheers when she walked on stage. There is no general hate for her. It's press and people commenting, trolls. It's trolls. Okay, thank you so much for the personal comments. Marcelia says, the speech was first class. As a good wife, Meghan learned her skills to her husband, and quite right too. You want your man to shine. That's true. EAO says, I think she has helped Harry up his game. I would agree there as well. Correct Counsel says, it's not just her acting, it's her university training too. Yeah, but all of her past and her background goes into making who she is today, and she's also using whatever skills she's drawing on to help Harry, I think. Fortune says, remember their first trip when Meghan was sitting there as Harry practices his speech? I think that Meghan is so very supporting of Harry, and he's been getting much better with his speeches. I think it's the sort of thing that you do get better with if you do more and more. Okay. And there's not much more, I don't think we can say about that. It is what it is. And I think it's just, a few people have said that they've kept going back and rewatching that video. It was very, very good. Okay, moving on. The Cambridges today, William and Catherine, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, were in Blackpool. Now, if you don't know, if you're not from the UK, Blackpool is a seaside traditional town in England where people before before flight became a mainstream thing, people would go on holiday to British beaches, and Blackpool was one of those places where people would flock to the British beach and would have fun. I suppose it's described as Britain's Las Vegas, I suppose, if you can liken it to that. However, the area in recent years has probably suffered from a little bit of deprivation, and William and Catherine were there to see Blackpool Tower, which is the big tower. It looks a little bit like the Eiffel Tower, actually. It's not the Eiffel Tower, but it looks like the Eiffel Tower. So they went in there, they saw the ballroom, where there's always like ballroom dancing going on, and a big major TV show, Strictly Come Dancing, Dancing with the Stars in the UK, has one episode every season from the Blackpool Tower ballroom. So that was very special to see. But what was really special was to see the work that's been going on in Blackpool to improve the lives of the community, and in particular, I think we got to see Harry and Meghan in a home that had been done up by a charity, which supports obviously local people, and they were also seen in a home that hadn't been done up. And oh my god, did you see the graffiti on the wall? I mean, I think it was very interesting to see William and Catherine in that environment, and seeing what work is being done to help transform the lives of people in the area. Of course, we also got to see William and Catherine with some children as well, so they had a good range of engagements. It was a very busy day in Blackpool, which I really enjoyed seeing and following. Let's see what people are saying. And again, Catherine's fashion looked amazing today as well. Yes, unfortunately, Charlotte can't be a Princess Royal until Princess Anne dies. That is true. Poor Anne. Thank you. It is the Queen Mary's diamond bandeau, the one that Meghan wore for her wedding. I agree, Catherine did look absolutely amazing. Sweet Serenity says, indeed, grand ballroom and the work improving the lives of the locals. Michael says, I'm shocked at the homelessness in Blackpool. What does it take? Where are the members of Parliament? Again, homelessness is an issue in this country at the moment, and I would agree, it needs tackling. Monroe Taylor says, I think William and Kate will be the best king and queen. Will she be called queen? Yes, she will be a queen consort. Scott Goff says, have great memories of going to the Blackpool Mecca as a team. Catherine didn't ride the big one. It's like, okay, they've got this big fairground with like a big roller coaster called the big one. So Catherine didn't ride the big one. Lisa Payne says, it's nice seeing more of Princess Anne. She usually isn't featured. I try to feature as much Anne as I possibly can. I agree, Catherine did look gorgeous. I think homelessness is an issue everywhere, unfortunately. Mary Brunn says, I thought Brighton was the beachside Mecca. Well, it's a different part of the country. Brighton is probably the same kind of thing for down south, and Blackpool is the same kind of thing for up north. Okay. And I'm going to go now because, hey, it's late. It's nearly 9 o'clock in the evening. And don't forget that I am premiering part 1 of my Victorian Town vlog tonight. So check on my video list and you will see my Bliss Hill Victorian Town thumbnail. Click on it and set the reminder, because then it will remind you and it will tell you, there's a little countdown clock, it will tell you when that video is going to be live for you. And I think if you set the reminder, you get sent out, I think you definitely get sent out a notification. So I will be there for the premiere of that video. and I'm so excited to share it with you. Like I say, it's part 1, and I think I'm going to do part 2 on Friday. So look out for that one. So if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also hit that notification bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. Also, please do subscribe to please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help. So from me in Shropshire, mwah!